Hey everyone, I'm Laura Lee Siemens and this is the Bible study and we are going through the book of Daniel. So we are all the way up to Daniel chapter 10 now. So if you're just tuning in now, you really definitely have to go back and do starting at Daniel chapter 1 and working your way through. Daniel is definitely not a book of the Bible that you can just jump into in the middle. You definitely have to go through it in order the way it's written. So we are now at Daniel chapter 10. And Daniel is at this point about 84 years old. And you will remember when we did Daniel chapter 9 that he had been reading a prophecy from Jeremiah and had seen that after 70 years the Jews should be allowed to return to Jerusalem. And so now we are in the third year of Cyrus, king of Persia. Remember, Persia is present-day Iran. And with our countries that we're going through, with the book of Daniel, that goes Babylon, Medes and Persians, Greece, Rome. Persia would be part of the Medes and the Persians. I remember the Medes and the Persians. The bear was up on one side. Then we had the ram with two horns, that one was bigger than the other, and that was because there was the Medes and the Persians, but the Persians were the more powerful of the two. So this is the Persians. King of the Medes was King Darius or King Darius, depending on how you say it. And Cyrus was the king of the Persians. So third year of Cyrus. And now the Israelites, or the Jewish people, they have been able to return. And they are building, and Ezra is working on rebuilding the temple. But he is running into trouble. And so Daniel is sad about that. And he's mourning and he's praying. And so maybe he's mourning because he realizes he isn't going to be one of the ones who's able to return. He's 84, so he's kind of old. And also he is very high up in the government. He keeps always getting promotions. As we remember from doing Daniel chapter 1 to 6, he's always loved in the government, keeps getting moved up. So he is not able to return, so he is mourning. So he is praying for 3 weeks. So for 3 weeks, he's praying. He's not eating any pleasant food. So he's like kind of doing a fast, just eating the bare necessities. No meat, nothing like that. And he's not anointed himself. So for 3 weeks, he's been doing this. So now, on the 24th day of the first month, so he is by the river Tigris. So he's there with other people are there as well. And all of a sudden, he sees, in my Bible, it says a certain man. So he sees this man clothed in linen, whose waist was girded with gold. His face was the appearance of lightning. His eyes were like torches of fire, and his arms and feet were like bronze. Okay, so he sees this man. Now, when he sees this man, none of his friends who are with him can see the man, but they all of a sudden fear. They have like this immense amount of fear that washes over them, to the point where they actually all run away and leave Daniel there alone. So they don't see it, but they can just all of a sudden feel a presence, and that presence frightens them, and they all run away. Only Daniel is left. So he alone sees the vision, but he also is terrified. So he falls to the ground, and he is completely weak and trembling and on the ground. And you know, sometimes so we have the term fear of the Lord, or fear of God, which is a term we have because it's in the Bible. And so we can say things like, well, when we say fear of God, we don't mean like a fear of God. We mean like, respect or reverence. But actually, I don't think that's what God means. I think when he says fear of God, he means like literally we should fear God. And that doesn't mean that God is bad or evil and we fear him in the way you'd fear like someone breaking into your house. But we fear him in the sense that he is so great and we are so small. We fear him in that way. And so when Daniel was in the presence of this certain man, he falls to the ground. He's in complete fear. So the question here is this an angel or is this Jesus? So I'm going to explain the two beliefs for this. So one is that it's Jesus because of how he is described as appearing like a man. So that usually is how Jesus is described, as Son of Man or appearing like a man. and how he's described with his eyes like fire, and his face like lightning, like that is how Jesus is described. We look at Revelation, we look at when Jesus isn't here on earth walking around, when he is in his glory, that is how he is described. So, and because Daniel falls down to him and he calls him my Lord, so those are reasons to believe that it is Jesus. The reason some people believe that it is an angel is because we'll see as we continue on in the chapter that he is trying to come to Daniel, but then he's stopped and he's not able to because of a demonic force. And then he has to call Michael, the archangel, to come and fight with him so that he is able to make it to Daniel. So then people would say, well, then it has to be an angel because no demonic force would be able to stop Jesus. So what we know for sure is that the Bible says there was a certain man who was obviously not a man, the appearance of a man, who was standing there, and again, that's what he looked like, clothed in linen, waist like gold, face like lightning, eyes like fire, and his feet and arms were like bronze. Okay, so he's standing there. So Daniel's afraid, he falls to the ground, and then a hand touches him, which made him tremble on his knees and the palms of his hands. So first, when he touches him, he's able to get up to the point where he's on his knees and his hands. And then the voice says, "O Daniel, man who is greatly loved." And then he tells him to stand upright, and he takes him and he helps him stand all the way up. So he tells him, you are a man who's greatly loved. He's greatly loved by God, right? So that's pretty cool. And then he says, don't be afraid, Daniel. From the very first day that you began praying and calling out, I heard you, and I was coming right away to answer you. So from the very first day. But he also said from the first day that you set your heart to understanding and you humbled yourself before God, your words were heard. So right here, this is a little side note. How do we have our words heard from God? Well, you can see here that his heart was set to understand and he had humbled himself. So, and many times the Bible says, humble yourself before God, right? And that's what we should be doing. If you really want to understand, like if you are saying, I can't read the book of Daniel, it's way too complicated. If you pray and you ask God to give you understanding, and you set your heart to understand, and you are humble before God, you will be able to understand it, and it won't be difficult because God will answer your prayers. Okay, so he is stopped. Who is stopping him? The prince of the kingdom of Persia stops him. So this obviously isn't an actual prince that stops, because human beings have zero power over angels or Jesus. We have zero power. We are nothing to them, right? So this is the prince of the kingdom of Persia is a demonic force. So it is a demon, an evil angel that stops and fights him. So he is fighting with him for 21 days, and then he calls Michael, one of the chief princes, to come and help him. And so Michael is one of the fighting angels who comes, and we learn at the very end of chapter 10 a little bit more about Michael. So Michael comes and fights with him, and then they're able to conquer the prince of Persia, and then he can come and see him. So when he had spoken these words to me, I turned my face towards the ground and became speechless. So what does he do? He's just looking down at the ground, and he can't talk because he is just in such awe of what he's experiencing right now. And then the man, one having the likeness of the sons of man, touched my lips. I opened my mouth and I began to speak. And what does he say? He says, my Lord, because of the vision, my sorrows have overwhelmed me, and I have retained no strength. For how can the servant of my Lord talk to you, my Lord? As for me, no strength remains in me, and I have no breath left in me. So this is how he is describing it. He's like, how am I supposed to talk? Like, I can't talk to you. What words would I have possibly to say to you? And I have no strength left. I can't even breathe right now. So that is worship. I mean, imagine if on Sunday morning we got up to sing and we're like, we can't even sing because there are no words. There is zero words that we could say that could possibly in any way describe you, God. And just thinking about your awesomeness makes it so we have no strength left. We can't even breathe. We've lost our breath by your greatness. That's like right there. That's amazing worship. We could start not only should we not be leaving this part of Daniel out of our church services, we could start our church services off with this, right? With our worship. So then again, the one that had the likeness of man, so that's the one at the beginning, he touched me and he gave me strength. And he said, oh man, greatly beloved. This is the second time he tells him, hey, you are the greatly beloved man. You are the one that we love. Fear not. Peace be to you. Be strong. Yes, be strong. So then his strength comes back to him. And he says, let my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me. And so then he says, do you know why I came here? But I'm going to talk to you, but I'm going to have to return to fight the prince of Persia. And indeed, the prince of Greece is going to come. So what is he saying? He's like, hey, remember, we have our things in order. So we had Babylon, then we had the Medes and Persians, and then Greece. So he's saying, I had to go back. I had to fight the prince of Persia. And also, by the way, the prince of Greece is coming, and that's going to be bad as well. And that, of course, was Alexander the Great. And then, Alexander the Great isn't the prince. It's the demonic forces. But Alexander the Great is the one who's going to come and take over Greece. And then we have, also we know, we talked about Greece would eventually become very bad towards the Jewish people and would try to conquer them, would destroy their temple, would set up the temple to Zeus, and offer a pig, and then the Maccabees have to come and fight him, so all that was going to come. And what we can see here is that all of that stuff happening is actually demonic forces that are happening. So the Medes and the Persians, there with the Persians especially, there is a demonic force that is trying to push things to be against the Jewish people. The Prince of Greece is going to be the same way. But we don't have to be afraid of those things, because we know at the same time that we have angels who are fighting for us, especially for the nation of Israel, because that is who the book of Daniel is written to. The very end, it says here in the last verse, but I will tell you what is noted in the scripture of truth. No one upholds me against these except Michael, your prince. So who is Michael? Michael the archangel. It says your prince, that is Daniel and the nation of Israel. So Michael is the one who is fighting for them. And he is the strong, powerful one. And he is the one who is fighting for the nation of Israel. So chapter 10 is not very long. It's only 21 verses. So it's a fast read. And when we see like what exactly is the story, so don't be too overwhelmed with the complicatedness of it. Daniel is praying. He's sad because Ezra is having problems building the temple. Also, Daniel can't go and be with him, and that is sad for him. And then he is praying, and he's praying for 3 weeks. Then he is at a river with his friends. A man shows up who's clearly not a man, looks like a man, is either an angel or Jesus. And his friends can't see him, but they sense the fear and the awe, so they run away, leaves Daniel behind. He passes down to the ground. He's out of fear, loses all his strength. He's touched. He's given strength back. And then he's explained, hey, I was going to come. I was going to be here right away. I left to come see you on your first day, but I was stopped by the prince of Persia. I was fighting him. Michael had to come help me. But now we're here. You are loved. Don't be afraid. You can speak to me. And I have to go back. I have to fight the prince of Persia, and also the prince of Greece is coming. I'm going to be fighting him too. But don't worry, because you, Israel, have Michael as your prince. And that's chapter 10. So we only have 2 chapters left. And so go back, read chapter 10. Think about the worshipfulness that is here. Think about the fear of God and being, when you pray, being in complete reverence and awe of God. And spend some time praying and know that God is listening. I'm Laura Lee Siemens, and this was chapter 10 of Daniel in our Bible study.